It's time for the Hockey Writers Grindline, a weekly show covering everything Detroit Red Wings. Brought to you by our own iconic top line of Wings writers. Sit back and enjoy The Grind.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Grind Line here at the Hockey Writers. I am your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, I'm joined in by my line mates, Evan Sabourin and Devin Little. We're recording after the 7-6 win of the Red Wings, but even though they did win the game, they were winning. They were leading 5-1 after the first period. And we'll get into that. Probably quite a bit of this show is going to be talking probably about that game. But Evan, how's it going?
Not good, man. It was funny, too, because you started after the Red Wings went up 5-1, you heard Mickey Redmond just mumble under his breath, "Yeah, but remember what happened in San Jose?" And sure enough, it happened again.
Yeah.
Red Wings are very lucky to get even a point out of this. That last goal that Larkin tied it up on was a fluke goal. That's how I'm doing, right? And I'm home with my daughter tonight, so yeah, not a good night.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, bright spot, they did win the game. Devin, how's it going?
I was not alive in the 70s and 80s when you saw 7-6 games on a regular basis, but following the Red Wings this season, I sure feel like it. So, exciting hockey from a neutral standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're invested in the Red Wings, oh man, there's a lot of headaches going on right now, and it's crazy because, like you said, they won. They won. 2 points. Woo! Oh man, we got a lot to talk about.
The process was not good.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, well, we're gonna get into that. But before we do, I'm gonna remind you of our Substack here at the Hockey Writers. It's we've changed it up a bit. You've got with the free version, you do get the best articles of the Hockey Writers here, but we also got a premium option that gets you access to all the articles, all the premium content here. With all the teams, so not just the Red Wings, but if you're just wanting the Red Wings, you can just get that as well. Check out the link below and find out what you're missing. Okay, well, let's get into our one good, one bad, and I think it's probably gonna be dominated by this game because it's fresh in our minds. But I'll start with you, Evan. A one good and a one bad from this past week.
To be honest, the only good thing that happened this week is this. We got free curly fries tonight. Now, Devin, that doesn't apply to me and Zator because I don't know if you have Arby's up in Canada and there's not one in within 20 miles here in Los Angeles. But Devin, you better get those curly fries tomorrow.
I got you.
No, that's my only good from tonight. And let me go back to my Steve Yzerman office.
Oh man.
Luckily for Detroit, the city of Detroit and their sports teams, that there's the Detroit Pistons who have lost 25 in a row. So they're at least more embarrassing than the Red Wings are right now. We're seeing the same thing over and over. Blowing a 5-1 lead. And I just told you guys before we started the show that there are only 2 teams in the history of hockey have blown multiple 4-goal leads in a season. And that was let me make sure I get this right. The 1971-72 California Golden Seals and the 83-84 Vancouver Canucks. Red Wings almost made history tonight. This has got to stop. It can't keep going like this. It's beyond frustrating for the fans. I'm sure the organization. James Reimer he should be dressing out in the parking lot right now. Dressing across the street at the Fox Theater. They got some bathrooms in there. Put him in there. He's not a legit NHL goaltender. We cannot. They have to do something here quickly because if Michael Hutchinson has to start tomorrow, then we're going to be in trouble. That's where I'm at right now.
Well, we will get to that in the show as well with the goaltending. But Devin, a good and a bad. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be part of this game, but there was other games during the week as well. But well, good and a bad here.
My one good. I'm going to go with the player of the game, the first star of tonight's game, Patrick Kane. We talked, we were saying before we started recording, Patrick Kane looks like Patrick Kane still. you're still a little, still too early to like be taking victory laps or anything, but he looks good. And point per game pace, still making certain talking heads and writers out there look silly for saying he's the problem. But we're not gonna with that was last week's show. We're on this week's show. Um, Good for Patrick Kane for being a difference maker for the Red Wings because that's what they signed him to be. My one bad is going to be James Reimer. Plain and simple. This is where they need him to really rise to the occasion. They don't have Lyon. They don't have Husso. He's kind of their last shot, right? Michael Hutchinson's and the backup, like Evan said. But this is Reimer's net right now, and boy, did he have a big part in coughing up that 5-1 lead. They let go of Nedeljkovic and Hellberg in the offseason to improve their goaltending. And while Lyon's been pretty good, they brought in Reimer to do the same thing. And heading into the season, we thought he was going to be the dedicated backup while Lyon was in the AHL. Holy cow! This is not the James Reimer that was a legitimate tandem guy in Toronto 10 years ago. This is a guy his best days are behind him, and it's very obvious. Husso, we've talked in length about how bad Husso has been this year, but man, even he can't get back soon enough because Reimer's not it, man.
Yeah, it's not good. Reimer hasn't. I don't know. I don't think he's been good for a long time. Really. I mean, he's been kind of bouncing around, and yeah, he's not even a backup. He's kind of a borderline guy, and it's just he's not a good starter. And Red Wings need to do something. And like I said, we're going to talk about that coming up on the show, so I won't jump the gun on it a bit. But it's tough because my good is Patrick Kane too, and that top line, which I said I want to see Patrick Kane with Dylan Larkin and Alex DeBrincat. Well, they got that this game. And there were times where it looked like they were on the power play, and it was 5-on-5. So even towards the end of the game there in the last, I think, couple minutes, they looked like it was a power play and they were just controlling the puck. They'd be a really good line. I don't know defensively if they're the best, but definitely offensively. If they have the puck all the time, who cares? But I'm going to say they're my good, and Patrick Kane he had a couple chances in overtime as well. But Carter Hart made a ton of, how do I say, 3 really good saves in that overtime, and Red Wings could have won it before the shootout. But
that save on Ghost Despair was ridiculous. I thought that was the end, going to end it.
Yeah, I look at the replay. I'm like, maybe he should have, but he was just like he needed to get it up higher, but he was just redirecting it. So I mean, it kind of didn't have much time to do anything with it. But yeah, great save by Hart, and they ended up winning a shootout. All right. Well, this is a good segue, I guess. If they would have won 5-1, maybe it's a bit less, but there has been talk about Derek Lalonde's coaching job and how he's been doing in these last, I don't know, maybe not just the last few games, but this season in general with these blown leads, with the defense and all that. Start with you, Devin. What do you like his coaching overall this season, and where could he be better? I mean, it's not a good look. I mean, yes, it's bad goaltending, yes, bad defense, but it has to reflect on the coach as well. What do you think about Lalonde so far this season?
I think the honeymoon phase is over. Last year they made a lot of good progress, especially in the defensive end. And I think just in general, it was just a breath of fresh air, right? They had Jeff Blashill behind the bench for years. It was nice just to see a fresh perspective behind there, and the team really, really seemed to respond to it. But fast forward to today, and it seems like all of the same issues are there, and in some cases, you might even say they're worse than they were, and that is not good. There's no way to really, get around it. It's not acceptable. You have way too much talent on the roster, and it's full of veterans too. It's not like this is a young team where you'd expect these mistakes. They're learning how to win. No, their defense is full of Ben Sherratts and Jeff Petries, and their offense is full of Patrick Kanes and David Perrons and guys who have played in the league for a decade plus. And it's like, why? What is going on? It's either veterans who apparently have forgotten, what it takes to win, or a coach that has lost track of things or lost control or done something. I don't understand it. I think he can be a lot better in a lot of ways, to be honest with you. The biggest thing is this kind of goes, I'm just going to kind of keep going back to his predecessor. Jeff Blashill was known for the Blashill blender. He was always quick to change up the lines and, mix things up. And, people would lament the fact that he wouldn't let people establish chemistry with each other. Well, Lalonde seems to be the complete opposite. In fact, he seems to be really, married to pairings and lines well past the point of where they need to change. You see Sherratt and Petrie playing together still, and they just about every time they're on the ice, you have a heart attack watching them. Even last season when it was Sherratt and Seider, it took them half the season to be like, this isn't working. And it's like if we knew that after 10 games. There's something to be said for giving guys the opportunity to play through it and establish chemistry and whatnot. But at some point, if it's not working, you gotta change things, man. This is to be quite honest with you, this is a topic I could probably talk about for 5 minutes. Because there's a lot, man. I just don't understand his player usage, how he makes his in-game decisions. He lets goalies just like sit and get blasted, and he doesn't change goalies a lot. I don't know, man. He's a good guy. I like the way he talks about the game. I like the way he talks to reporters. I think he does have a good good mind for the game. And obviously, just off of last year, there's some good progress being made there. But when you're seeing a guy like Seider stagnate and maybe even regress from his rookie season, I'm confident enough to say that I like Seider better under Blashill than Derek Lalonde, and that's a bad thing for me to have to say. There's a lot of guys on this roster right now that need to take a look in the mirror, but I think the head coach is one too.
100%. And the thing is like, is Lalonde better as an assistant? I mean, he was great in Tampa Bay, under a great coach, but in Cooper, it's just, I don't know, maybe it's too early to say that, but it hasn't looked good for sure. Evan, what do you think about the coaching? I mean, it hasn't been good so far this season.
Dylan Larkin described it perfectly the other night with the loss against Winnipeg. It's a downward spiral, what this team has gone through the last month. And it's past the time. It's time to light a fire into the locker room and into these veterans. If you're not performing, you sit. Jobs should be at stake at this point. Mm-hmm. When you have two players who are NHL ready in Grand Rapids, in Simon Evanson and Jonathan Berggren, they should be up and taking jobs, and that will fire some people up, because this is unacceptable. Another 5-1 lead is, I mean, how does that happen? It just doesn't happen. And this team is they're so out of position defensively. It's the other night against Winnipeg. We have four guys in the corner going for the puck with Scheifele wide open in front. Mm-hmm. Those were slam dunk goals for Winnipeg the other night. And it's just, you don't have the goalie for it. The defense just, they can't figure it out positionally. Like, I don't know what the next step is. Do we, like you said, Devin, do we just keep running it over and over and over again? Because that's what it feels like. Mm-hmm. The definition of insanity, keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Yeah. But we're not getting the different results. We're getting the same results every night. Something's got to step up and do something. They got to light a fire under this team. And people need to be held accountable for their positions. It's time. It's past time. I don't care if it's the holidays. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is tough when you see like Leeds game blown, and then that game against Winnipeg wasn't good at all. I think I shut it off after the first period, actually. Like, yeah, they're not getting back from this one. Yeah, it's just, it hasn't been good. I mean, yes, there were pauses at the beginning of the season. It's like, oh, maybe they're good. It'll be fine, but there's just too many things going wrong right now that you do got to start looking at things for sure. Okay, well, going off of that for my first off the rush, and this is about the goaltending. Start with you, Evan. What do you think should be done with the goaltending? I mean, there's been injuries. Yes, Alex Lyon's out. Husso's out as well. Should they make a move for a goaltender right now?
Oh, we're not laughing now about that anti-Ranta
Right?
subject I brought up last week because I don't think anybody expected the goaltenders to go down like this. If we have to turn to Michael Hutchinson, oh boy, things could get ugly fast, and we're already tumbling down the standings as it is. I don't know what the answer is. I'm hoping Alex Lyon. They said there was a slim possibility he could play tomorrow. I doubt that happens.
Mm,
So they're gonna run probably with Hutchinson tomorrow. I mean, they have to.
yeah, yeah.
So, what's the next answer? You have to hit the free agent wire. You look the trade market. Is Stevie going to go trade for a goalie? Is Bergeron that bait that can bring us in a decent stopgap? Because right now we don't have one.
Yeah.
Something's got to give.
There are goaltenders on the market. Elvis Merzlikins, there's talk about him there. And there's also, Montreal with Jake Allen and Montembeault and Primo and all that. Devin, what do you think? Should Yzerman make a move now? Who's out there that you would actually want to go for would actually work?
Yeah, it's the big question, isn't it? Because it's one thing to be like, yeah, clearly they need a better goalie, but it's not as simple as going, all right, I'll take that one, and then you just put him on your team. Anybody who's a free agent probably isn't going to fix anything.
No.
Like Evan has mentioned, they're already onto their fourth goalie being Hutchinson. Their next goalie is Kosa, and I don't think you want to throw him into the circus that's going on right now. So the only real option is trading, and that's not something that usually comes together real quick. That's something that takes time to iron out the details and make sure it's a good deal for both sides and whatnot. I do like Jake Allen, especially considering he's got experience playing behind a team that loses the possession battle and isn't necessarily, at least in terms of Montreal, isn't expected to, win, is expected to lose more often than not. And still playing well despite that, the circumstances, right? So he's somebody I would look at, but then you gotta, it's all about cost and, what you're getting out of it. To be honest with you, without completely sacrificing the season, because Lord knows it could get out of hand really fast over the next couple of weeks, I would ride it out, because I think this could tell you what your plan's going to be, heading into February and March and the trade deadline. If the goaltending's what knocks you out of it, then it is what it is, and you can kind of start planning accordingly. I would hate to trade a Bergeron to get a goalie to like save the season, and you still don't save the season, and then you gave up Bergeron for nothing. I would rather ride it out and find out, if it makes sense to add a goalie, or if it makes sense to start selling and add futures again. Right now, where we're standing today, I think, a month from now, we're going to be talking about all the draft picks that Red Wings are going to be adding, because that's just you can't survive giving up 14 goals a night, man.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, you want to get a goaltender that would not just be a short-term thing. If you are moving a guy, especially like a guy like Bergeron, you want a guy that's not just going to be here for half the season and then he's gone, or even just next season. You want to have someone that's going to last a bit. I would look at Merzlikins, but I don't know how much he would cost. And other teams are obviously going to go after him as well if the Blue Jackets actually put him on the market. I think they may have already. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Okay. Before we move on to our next bit of the show, just pay the bills and talk about our Substack here at the Hockey Writers. And I say it's changed a bit, but you get access. You can get access to all the teams, not just the Red Wings. But you can sign up below. There's a free option. There's also a premium option. Gets a ton of features you can get with all the teams. There's game day previews. Got some post-game stuff. We got just special articles, a whole ton of fun stuff, podcast videos, all that. Check that out in the link below. All right, on to our next part of the show. We're going to talk about the top pairing, Jake Walman and Moritz Seider. And we said at the beginning of the season they were the best pairing. Well, not so much lately. I'll start with you, Evan, because I know you wanted to talk about this. What do you do about this? I mean, they haven't looked as good as they did last season. Would you break them up? What do you think about that?
Well, I'm assuming Walman's hurt. That's why he's out of the lineup tonight. And they
Yeah.
paired Seider with Ghost Despair to start off. Then they lost Mata and had to go down to 5 defensemen. It's tough to figure out what they're going to do. But do Ghost Despair and Seider play well together? Offensively, yes, but defensively, they've been liabilities this past month. I mean, we all know at the end of the day what I want, and it's that handsome beast right there. But hey, like I said, it's been a broken record. I say this every time we talk on the podcast, but I'm listening to other podcasts. You know what? They're using the same things, saying the same things we are. They're a broken record, and they're repeating this because we keep seeing this problem, and there's got to be some kind of change. And Seider has, to me, Seider, it feels like he has regressed, but you cannot tell. You can't tell me if that's not from his pairing.
Mm-hmm.
He's not paired with people who are playing well defensively right now. He can't be the only one out there. Walman has struggled, and I'm like I said, I'm convinced I think he's playing with something because he's been terrible this month. The other night in Winnipeg, when Larkin and him down low, that was part of the whole Scheifele thing. Larkin had his guy, and Walman comes running to the back of the net, leaving Mark Scheifele right open in front. It's these little defensive miscues, and there's got to be an adjustment to them because who's at fault? Who do you fault when the team's having these kind of issues positioning? It's a coach's fault. It is a coach's fault. Coaches get fired, players don't. So I got to see that they make something's got to give before the end of before January, because if they go through another month like this, they're going to be so far out of a playoff spot that they're not going to be able to recover.
Yeah,
this was a bad month.
For sure. And we kind of hinted at it, saying that they had a 6-game losing streak after we had that. And I may have jinxed it, and all of a sudden they're going to a similar downturn. But yeah, there's the roller coaster. Sure. Devin, what do you think about that pairing? What do you do to fix it? Can it be fixed? What do you think?
I think it can be fixed because it's obvious that they have chemistry together, and it's obvious that when you look at the other options available, it's not like the Red Wings are overflowing with guys that can play a top line role.
Yeah.
They're kind of, for better or for, despite all the depth and all the guys that Yzerman has brought in over the last couple of years, they still only have 1.5 guys that can play a top line defensive pairing role, and that would be Seider and Walman when he's on his game. It's tough, man. I do think that you have to kind of keep them separated, at least for right now, just to give them a different look, give them, maybe having that space kind of sparks them, right? We saw that spark happen in Seider last year after he moved away from Sherratt and he moved with Walman. That kind of reignited him and got him going again. Walman was going pretty good the whole season, and it just kind of hit another level when he started playing with Seider. So maybe they just need to play apart for a little bit, and then at some point you bring them back together once they're both going, and then maybe that's kind of what fixes it. But I guess what I'm getting at here is do what you can, switch things around. But when you look at the pieces you have available, there's just not a lot of options, to be honest with you. Even if you call up Edvinsson, I don't know if you'd call him up to play on the top line with Seider. I wouldn't want to throw him into that either. It's tough, man. As much as we're the kind of the main point we're trying to make here is that what is currently available isn't good enough. It's also really hard to get something new into it, right? You can't just snap your fingers and all of a sudden you have a new defensive group. It's painfully obvious that Walman and Seider aren't the same pairing they were last year, but I don't think that they have enough options to not try to make it work down the road again this season. They just have to figure out how to get them going again separately before putting them back together.
Yeah, it is tough to change things, and because there's not, what other options do you got? Is it going to be better them split up? I guess you just got to try it and see if see if it works or not.
I'd like to see Ghost Seider and Evanson and Walman.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
Or
something to try. Something to try. We'll
well, like
see.
Devin said, I don't want to. I don't if they. I mean, are they going to have to bring him up? You got two defensemen out now. Who else are they going to bring up?
There you go.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
I mean, this might
finally
be it.
time.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. We gotta go back to those predictions. Who had it now?
Yeah, yeah.
No, remember you couldn't go over, so I think we all lost.
Yeah, I think we all lost.
That's okay because Devin won curly fries tonight.
All right. Well, I got couple more here before we end the show. Since it's Christmas and the next time we get together, it'll be after Christmas. Let's see if the Red Wings are on Santa's naughty or nice list. Now, after this game, maybe they're on the naughty list. I don't know. Evan, are they on the naughty or nice list right now?
Ugh, they're on the naughty list, man. Especially what they're doing to us. This roller coaster that we keep riding, the one behind me. That's not real though. It's I don't think it's good for our health. It's just up and down, and there's just no consistency. Like that's not nice. It's
No.
not naughty. It's god awful is what it is. So yeah, they're not on Santa's list this year.
Devin, do you agree? Naughty list, or are you saying they're on the nice list? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm obviously the one who, so yeah, I'm the one who put this question on
Yeah.
our agenda, and boy, did I not anticipate what tonight's game was going to look like when I put this agenda together. Holy cow. Um, I guess it's a good thing that Santa puts his list together, not after just one single night, right? He doesn't
Yeah.
look at one, it's the whole picture, right? I think that there's been a lot of, and it's not just, I'm not thinking about it just as this season. I'm thinking about it as 2023 altogether. There's been a lot of good things that have happened for the Red Wings, right?
Mm.
And as much as it's like really hard to think about it right now, there has been a lot of good, and there's a lot of reasons to be excited about this team moving forward. But right now, they're pushing their luck with whether or not Santa's going to give them anything but coal in their stockings.
Mhm.
I am going to say they are on the nice list. They've kind of reignited the Hockey Town brand. I think that there's a reason why Patrick Kane signed with this team. If they were on the naughty list, I don't think they'd get something like Patrick Kane. But man, they are pushing it, and they're going to see if they can't ruin it for themselves right before Christmas.
It's not looking good. That's for sure.
Reimer's definitely on the bad list.
Yes.
He's in the
Oh yeah. Definitely on the naughty list. That's for sure. I think they're in the middle. I'm with you, Devin. I think they're in that borderline. They are getting close to being shifting to the naughty list because that has a lot of good has happened. But right now they're not looking good. That's for sure. Okay, last question before we end, and that is because the World Juniors are coming up. They are starting on Boxing Day. Evan, give me one player that you're excited to watch in the World Juniors. We got Trey Augustine with Team USA, Nate Danielson with Team Canada, and then the Swedes, Anton Johansson and Axel Sandin-Pellikka. Also, Kevin Bicker
made Team Germany, yeah.
Germany. So
I think this is the safest answer, and so I'll give you the other one, Devin. But yeah, ASP. This guy looks like the real deal. He ripped a one-timer in a game the other night I saw, and it looked like Cole Caulfield. This guy's got a little rip. He got right down there on his knees. I'm really excited for him in the future. He looks like he's going to be something hopefully special. I still can't believe we got him at 17. I was very happy about that. If you would have told me that draft that we got Danielson at 17 and ASP at 9, I would have been like, whoa. But somehow we lucked into that one. I think he's going to be a stud, and he's probably one of the biggest names heading into this tournament as far as popularity. He's He's a well-known name now in the hockey circles, hockey prospecting circles. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on him to perform, and I think we're going to see something good. Team Sweden's stacked.
Oh.
That's going to be a fun team to watch.
Yeah. Devin, who you got?
Well, we're talking about how James Reimer is not an NHL goalie. Well, let's talk about the other goalie of the future besides Sebastian Cossa. That would be Trey Augustine. Very excited to see him hopefully play for Team USA. Obviously, with goalies, you never really know who's gonna, except for some random specific situations, you never really know who's gonna start unless there's like a bona fide guy. But I like Augustine. I liked him as a second round pick in this year's draft, and I think that he's done really well so far this year at Michigan State. So I think he's put himself in a position where he should show well in the for Team USA, and he should kind of really start to put himself on a map for Red Wings fans as they kind of look ahead to see what this goaltending picture is going to look like in the days after Husso and Lyon and Reimer.
Yeah, that Augustine, where they got him was insane, right? So I mean, to get him at all. And mine is going to be Nate Danielson and Axel Sandin-Pellikka. I think they're both going to be key to their team. So definitely excited to watch the World Juniors. But there's another episode of the Grind Line here at the Hockey Writers. Make sure to check out all our articles at hockeywriters.com. Check out the Substack and those curly fries as well.
Curly fries, go get them, Detroit. Get them.
Yeah.
You deserve them.
But watch World Juniors. It's going to be exciting for Red Wings prospects. But until next time, we'll see you on another episode of the Grind Line.